Player Profiler News Primetime. I feel so much like Chris Berman. I can't stop thinking about that every time I have that opening. Primetime. It's a fumble. Great memories, core memories, watching football as a kid and having the Sunday scaries before school came back on Monday. You really always hated Sunday night. You were kind of tilting around the end of those 4 p.m. games on the East Coast. Of course, you live for it. And then, of course, now we have Thursday night football to tide us over throughout that long week. But being a kid, I can remember Monday night football would happen and you'd have to wait all the way until Sunday. It just had to be enough back then. Little programming note, next Monday, Memorial Day weekend. All right, how many of you confuse Labor Day and Memorial Day and just use it interchangeably? I actually got it right that time. Memorial Day, next week, Monday, I will not be here. I will be away and enjoying myself. So have a happy holiday if I don't see you, because you won't see me on here next week. And then, of course, regularly scheduled programming. We will continue on with that. But I want to talk about best ball fallers. Last week, we had best ball winners, basically risers. And I've got from the Solver, from Best Ball Explorer, just players who are rising, who are dropping now. We did last week the winners. Now we have some who are losing right now, or they're falling. It just becomes a better, more palatable price for us. So now let's take a look. Jalen Tolbert in the last 10 days, about a week, you don't get a ton of movement. I notice about 10 days, you get a good sample of movement. You go 2 weeks, you get movement. So 10 days is kind of a good relevant data point for me. Jalen Tolbert down 31 spots, early round 16 to the mid 18th round. So sometimes not being drafted. What does this tell us? It's the George Pickens show. He's the auto number 2 player in town to CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb actually came out and said, we've got 2 ones. You love to see that early cohesion and chemistry. There's not going to be beef. There's not going to be problems. Dak Prescott's going to be slinging the rock. Jalen Tolbert at this price point, mid 18th round, last round on Underdog. Hey, you just want 1 week for Tolbert to hit if you had to bet, if you had to wish. And if that happens in the playoffs, all the better for Jalen Tolbert. Of course, your team would be advancing at that point. Jalen Tolbert would be a low percentage roster player in the event that happens. The chances, though, judging by the reflected ADP change of 31 spots down in the last 10 days, it's not going to happen for Jalen Tolbert. And down 12.1 spots, middle of round 16 to the middle of round 17. I really like the weapons that Cam Ward has. I'm huge. I've been all about Calvin Ridley, this year's Terry McLaurin. I really think it's lining up there. And enough happened around Calvin Ridley to support being the primary focus in the Titans offense without taking too much away from Calvin Ridley. So Alec Amaner can get those deep targets, large out in boundary routes where he's not interfering with Calvin Ridley. So Cam Ward, I actually do like Alec Amaner's spot for Cam Ward. I don't like the draft capital for Alec Amaner himself personally. And there you have, you're out there drafting and the dip is there. People don't want to click on Alec Amaner. And I've found myself in drafts, I've got about 25 going right now, slow drafts on Underdog. Alec Amaner, I'm not really clicking that button. Granted, I haven't had too many post-NFL draft Cam Ward teams. I have a ton of Cam Ward, Calvin Ridley pre-NFL draft teams. It really worked out there. But Alec Amaner, Xavier Restrepo, the UDFA from Miami, joins teammate Cam Ward from college. I actually like that. Chico Conquo, Gunnar Helm. These are all players who can support and do well on the periphery, but not week over week. Tyler Lockett, how many Titans receivers, shout out to Chev, have we seen at the end of their careers? It's like a graveyard, a wide receiver graveyard. Go see the Country Music Hall of Fame for the Tennessee visit, because if you're at the end of your career, that's not the place you want to be as a wide receiver. Although I want to drink the Kool-Aid and think that Tyler Lockett can perform well for the Tennessee Titans just for a dead cap bounce season. But all signs point to Calvin Ridley. Then you see, though, that dip on Alec Manor. So really the only real confidence I think people are going to have for the Titans is capping stacks of Titans players with Cam Ward. And then you're going to have Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears benefit plenty. We saw what Tajay Spears did last year without Tony Pollard. We saw what Tony Pollard got when he was healthy out of that Titans backfield. So good usage out of the backfield, good signs for Calvin Ridley. I like Cam Ward, what he's got. People are going to point and say, well, he didn't get some sexy weapons. Well, that's okay. He can still sling the rock, but we're just not going to get reliable weapons, if that makes sense. One week it might be Alec Manor. Another week it might be Tyler Lockett. But week in, week out, week over week, large sample size, I'm loving Calvin Ridley this season. Jerome Ford down 8.7 spots in the last 10 days, mid-round 17, early round 18. This is all the Quinshon Judkins, QJ show, and maybe a little bit of Dylan Sampson. Second round QJ is getting bell cow hype from GM Andrew Berry. The Browns are very high on Quinshon Judkins. There's a little bit of a dent in the can with Dylan Sampson there in round 4. He's a speedster, but the superior all-around back is Quinshon Judkins. Chev and I on Trade Gods, which dropped this morning on the main page. Go out and see it. We talked real big on Quinshon Judkins, what he can do as far as where he is right now compared to the Ashton Janties, the Amarian Hamptons, RJ Harveys, and he can move up when you accordion out how it's a cheaper price for Quinshon Judkins, but he's still at the back end of the top tier of running backs. And that's just the cheapest price in tiers. If you draft in tiers in your startups, in your best ball drafts, in your redrafts, if you get the back end of a tier, it's almost like stealing because you're paying the cheapest price within a tier. And I think that cutoff, as far as the rookie running backs go, Quinshon Judkins absolutely deserves to be there. And don't be surprised if Quinshon Judkins switches with Ashton Janty, Amarian Hampton, RJ Harvey, and then, of course, Tavion Henderson or Caleb Johnson. It's not a guarantee that Quinshon Judkins is all of a sudden going to be the 5th or the 6th best running back in this class. Very good shot that QJ can end up in that top 3 and not that second 3 of those running backs. Dylan Sampson follows as well, down 5.3 spots in the last 10 days, late round 15 to the middle of round 16. Still a viable pick in best ball because there's injury attrition. It could definitely happen to Quinshon Judkins. But the news has to have been gotten out for fantasy gamers who are paying attention to that coach speak, that GM speak, that it's the Quinshon Judkins show. And he's got more deference than somebody like Dylan Sampson, but still somebody that we want to have a smattering of. If you have Caleb Johnson or you have Tavion Henderson, it's wise later to arbitrage and pick against Quinshon Judkins by selecting Dylan Sampson, because then you can unfold, in the event of a QJ injury, unadulterated opportunity share for Dylan Sampson, while you have those other starting running backs on other teams. So that's something I like to do, get those upside cuffs that aren't your direct handcuff to your running backs, and then pray for health on your front end running backs. And then those 4, 5, and 6 running backs on your team who are backups, upside, any injury hits, and then you're filling in that flex spot. You're filling in that RB2 spot, which might be a little bit weak compared to the rest of your stack team. And you can have a team that just goes all the way off. Here's a funny one. Travis Etienne, down 4.5 spots, late round 10 to early round 11 in the last 10 days. We just saw a report that Basil Tootin fumbled on his first carry in workouts. They had some live practice going on. Liam Cohen was talking about it. Not the best thing. Talking about, hey, Basil Tootin needs to learn from this. All of a sudden, Travis Etienne presents such tremendous value. So it's early yet, and it's not like you're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. The Jaguars really do like something about Basil Tootin, but what has gotten rookies cooked so many times in the NFL, failure to launch for their NFL careers, is ball security. So Travis Etienne, there's just that guile of a veteran that maybe he could rise up and maybe it's a little bit closer to truth that Travis Etienne could be the first or the second running back on this team, then relegated to the third running back. So just not so fast on Bajal Tutin with Etienne, Bigsby, and Tutin. I look at them all three as even right now. And the best player can take over. I don't see somebody definitively in a pecking order ahead. We like to select, get requisite share on Fast Draft. I have been getting a ton of Bajal Tutin in round 2. But right now, as it sits today, that doesn't look like the best pick for me. Looks better for the people that I'm drafting against. But over on Best Ball, where I've been drafting plenty of Travis Etienne, I've got Travis Etienne in a startup pre-NFL draft. That team is very happy. That's news to my ears for that team. So that's part of why you want portfolio, because when you get bad news on a player, you've got good news somewhere else. So it can't all be bad all the time. Now, speaking of Fast Draft, here's something from the Podfather.
Let's face it, most people that play fantasy, they don't play DFS, they don't play big best ball tournaments. Why? Because it's too complicated and they feel like they can't win. And that's why we developed the Fast Draft Flex 4 game. You just draft any 6 guys, the top 4 enter your lineup every week. So if you love Garrett Wilson, you think he's going to outscore Tyreek Hill, or you love Breece Hall and you think he's going to outscore Devon Achane because you're a big Jets fan, if you're right, you will make money. You don't need to be running big data models. You don't need to be soaked in strategy and understand the schedule forwards and backwards. That's the beauty of Flex 4. Sure, those with great strategy win more money, but those that have strong takes on players can also go out and monetize those positions. And the beauty is it's just $5 a draft, just $5. You can draft 150 times and the winner gets 10 grand. So use your host promo code to get a $50 deposit match. So when you deposit, use that promo code and then you get $50 on me, because Flex 4 is a whole new way to play best ball.
There you have it. Fast Draft. In sales, they talk about what is your wedge, what is your delineation in the market. And something I've talked to the Podfather about with Fast Draft is I really like the amount of drafts that are geared towards rookies, rookie content, because over on Underdog, you get rookies and sophomores, and it's very brief. And I don't think I saw any rookie sophomore tournaments drop this year. So that's a nice little wedge that Fast Draft has. And then your time. How do you allocate? I can put in batch orders, bulk orders of drafts. I can set it for 5, set my rankings, and then it spits out my portfolio. I don't have to spend near enough face and screen time as I would if I had to do a full draft. That's something that Fast Draft has that I don't see on Underdog. Now, ironically enough, I do a ton of Underdog as well. I do slow drafts, and that takes the most amount of time. But the beauty is, after this show, I can go look on my screen and see a draft that has 7 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, and get that done when I can, versus sitting in front of a screen for 20 to 30 minutes when I've got kids, I got a family, I got places to go, people to see, people to meet. So that's my pitch on how to leverage your time, both with Fast Draft and, of course, talking about Underdog. All right. Everybody can feast here, right? With Jalen Royals down, we're talking about losers and fallers. Jalen Royals down 4.5 spots, mid round 17 to late round 17. I'm just like, what? We just got some cool word out of Kansas City that the Chiefs are very high on Jalen Royals in the event that we have to not have Rashee Rice. If we don't have Rashee Rice for suspension or injury recovery, that role 1-for-1, it sounds like the Chiefs are very high on Jalen Royals. They like that yak ability. And we're going to get Jalen Royals possibly, let's just call it week 1 through 4. Let's say the first month goes to Jalen Royals as a starter in that offense right from the jump. You love to see it. So talking about time value of money, Chev, time value of money, we may end up getting a full month of unadulterated Jalen Royals goodness as a starter on the Chiefs to open the season, and he's down 4.5 spots. What is going on? And then shout out to Sam. Origins is awesome. Yes, I love it. It's just so much fun, and I like how we're continuing to have the rookie game after the buzz and the wear off of the NFL draft. I think there's just a lot there to be had. So love seeing you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Let's go to Caleb Williams, down 3.8 spots, late round 8 to early 9. So this isn't going to break anything, but near 4 spots down, for Caleb. Maybe this is just a little bit of that, the book tour going on with his father about what's happening in Chicago, about not wanting to play for Chicago, not wanting to play in the NFL over going to the actual Chicago Bears. It's all last year's news kind of drummed up to this year. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't like it. I want to see what's going on between the sidelines, between the quarterback's ears, on the field, between the hashes, just what's on the actual grass that we touch when the players play football, not the outer bounds things. There's so much that has been reinforced for Caleb on the offensive line, getting Luther Burden, and you've got Colson Loveland there as well with Cole Kmet. You still have Rome Odunze. People are down on Odunze. People are talking about DJ Moore. Could DJ Moore be on his way out? But for now, there's just a plethora of weapons where you may not, I may not, and you may not like to select the Bears' weapons, who it is. Even in the backfield, you may not love that it's just Kyle Monangai who got brought in with DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson. But Caleb Williams, okay, everything points to Caleb Williams rising this year and being a great value. So any dip that you can get there, down 3.8 spots, sign me up. And then, Sam, good point. You can see Royals returning too if your leagues like that. And that's another feature. And even if your leagues don't like that, Sam, I'm glad you brought that up. Even if the leagues don't like that, the Chiefs may like that. And that's something that can get you back onto the field even more. So even more, you love to see it for Jalen Royals. Now, we talked about Caleb Williams following. DJ Giddens down 3.6 spots, mid-round 16 to late round 16, the last 10 days. Really minor in the grand scheme. The play for Giddens is going to be asymmetrical upside with a JT injury. Podfather always talks about ankle injuries for Jonathan Taylor. A span of 4 to 6 games, 2 to 3, anywhere patched throughout the season. DJ Giddens is just going to go through the roof. Excellent player. Just landed in a poor spot. I think of Zach Charbonnet when he went to the Seahawks, and you're just like hanging your head like, oh, God, why did that have to happen? But DJ Giddens, we'll be talking about it a long time. Nerd Boy, shout out. Post-NFL draft, he was talking about, hey, historians, we're going to look back on DJ Giddens and talk about his draft price for the longest time because the talent and the situation aren't lining up. But hopefully that situation can change. Right now, take advantage of a discount. RJ Harvey, what if he had gotten drafted behind Jonathan Taylor? Then we would just be kind of smacking our foreheads again. So what if DJ Giddens went to the Denver Broncos? It would be asymmetrical in another direction. So circumstances can change. Momentum can turn on a dime. Part of the thumbnail that I have, Drake Maye down 2.6 spots, early round 11 to even more in the early round 11. So only down 2.5 spots for Drake Maye. Hunter Henry is also down in round 15 by 3 spots. Funny enough, I've been able to easily stack Drake Maye and Hunter Henry. People aren't necessarily out on Drake Maye. His price isn't going to dramatically shift up. That's my takeaway here. With Drake Maye just going down just a little bit, we know there's not going to be some humongous spike for Drake Maye. So if he's living right at the early double-digit rounds, sign me up. I've got a ton of Drake Maye on Underdog pre-NFL draft, and I was really happy to get him in the startup as well in the Player Profiler Gridiron Challenge. He's my second quarterback. I'm very firm on Drake Maye. But the weapons, Stephon Diggs, Williams, Butte Baker, who's going to rise up? There's still a little bit of faith. It's kind of like Drake London. I would say Drake London, Drake Maye, they're kind of in that same category where we see them as stud players, but we're not 100% bought in. There's still an element of faith, and I think it's going to pay off for Drake Maye this year. I'm very confident it will pay off for Drake London. And then DJ Giddens stands unite. Yes, Chev, you love to see it. We love DJ Giddens. And hey, tough situation to start, but in life, things aren't linear, right? So you project out, let's say it's a 6-year career for DJ Giddens. There's going to be games where he gets his. Hopefully he's on your rosters. And then lastly, let's talk about Patrick Mahomes. Down 2.5 spots, late round 7 into the later of round 7. Patrick Mahomes, he's somebody for me I'm very down on, and I had him at one point. It sounded disrespectful, down about QB 18. I had plenty of players like Drake May above him heading into the season, but I think I can get him closer to QB 15. I just see back end QB1 as Patrick Mahomes' ceiling right now. I think he's just being inflated way too high on his price. And I see more of back end QB1 finish as a ceiling. And it wouldn't surprise me if he were QB 14 or 15 on the season. And it sounds sacrilege because he's a greatest of all time player. But if you've had Patrick Mahomes on your teams these last couple of years, you have not been happy with the results. So am I catching the falling knife? I might be catching a falling knife because Patrick Mahomes just continues to just kind of fall down. But you know what, Chev? I think I got to bounce up just a little bit on Patrick Mahomes, get him at least QB 15, and then see if I can wedge and see a case for him to be a back end QB1. I just don't see it as that top 5 Patrick Mahomes. I think that's out the window. And look, I'm not going to be here next week, but I will see you after Memorial Day weekend. I love you guys, and I'm out.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.